Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 26 of the Diversey BW Hotelier, the GM show, season 2. Today, I log in to Goa, the beautiful, beautiful Goa. And the topic for the show today is Goa Tourism Unveiled, a benchmark for Indian hospitality. Truly, Goa is a benchmark. Goa already sits perched where many other locations would want to be at. They'd give their right hand. The challenges in Goa are a lot different, which I shall soon talk about. Today on the show, I have some of the finest general managers who head multi-crore properties which are worth hundreds of crores. Before I get there, let me bring in my partner to the show, Diversey. The BW Hotelier GM Show Series Season 2 is now into its third month. We took a break in between, but we are back. The show is every Thursday and Friday, 4 to 5 p.m. We bring in not just the finance general managers, we also discuss topics which are extremely current, extremely important, and debating them are these general managers you will just meet in a few moments. Log in live, be there, watch it on bwhotelier.com or across our social media platforms. And if you've missed the live action, please go watch the recording. Let me now begin with the introduction. The first professional, the star professional on the show today is Manav Malhotra. Manav Malhotra is the general manager of the Charge Exotica Resort and Spa in Goa. Welcome to the show, Manav.
Good afternoon, Mr. Khanna. How are you? Good afternoon, Team BW. Great to be here at this platform, sharing stage with such thorough professionals and learning from this interaction. Great to be here. Thank you.
Such a pleasure having you grace our show, Manav. Next one is somebody who's doing a second show with me, Ranju Singh. He's the complex general manager for the Novotel Goa Resort and Spa and the Novotel Goa Candolim. Welcome to the show, Ranju.
Hi, Bhuvi. Thank you so much for having me again, and good to be connected again.
Pleasure, pleasure, Ranju. Next in is Harish Gopalakrishnan, who's just come in from Kochi. He's the general manager of the Westin Goa. Hi, Harish.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Khanna. Sorry, I was on mute. But it's lovely to be on in this platform and great to connect with all of you. And I'm very much looking forward to see the next part.
Good to have you here today, Harish. Next in is Gaurav Apte. I've done a show before with him. He's the general manager of the Marriott Resort and Spa. Welcome, Gaurav.
Thank you, Bhuvi, and it's a pleasure to be on your show again. And good afternoon to all the other gentlemen who I'll be sharing the screen with. Thank you.
Pleasure. Next in is somebody who's way my junior in from school in Delhi, and also I'm doing my second show with him, Suveer Sodhi, who's the general manager Alila, Diwa, Goa. Welcome, Suveer.
Mr. Khanna, thank you for having me on the show again, and good afternoon to everyone else as well. Look forward to interacting.
Such a pleasure. Last but not the least, Harshad Nalawade, who's the general manager of the DoubleTree by Hilton in Goa at Panaji. Hi, Harshad.
Hi. Good afternoon, Mr. Khanna, and good afternoon to everyone. Excited to be on the show. I've recently moved to Goa, so there couldn't have been a better opportunity to interact with all the general managers and, put a face to the name. So happy to be on the show.
Awesome. So let me begin, gentlemen, with your permission. I'll introduce the show and then let's get on. Now, in this episode, we shall unravel the secrets of how Goa sets the standard for Indian hospitality industry, showcasing its distinctive cultural and natural allure that captivates visitors worldwide. Ladies and gentlemen, join us as we embark on a journey through the essence of Goa's hospitality, setting a benchmark for the entire nation. Now, let me tell you, like I did mention yesterday, Goa sits perched on an amazing platform. They're already where others would want to be. All right, the challenges for Goa hospitality, travel, tourism are a lot different. Goa's already where the world can see the action that awaits them on arrival. So the challenge is more about conversion. The challenge is more about experience. The challenge is all about upping their act and going to the next level. So none better than Manav Malhotra. Manav, if I may roll in with my first question. Now that we have a sense of its global appeal, let's talk about how we can get down to analyzing the factors that make Goa a globally sought after destination, attracting visitors, not just from diverse cultural backgrounds, but from across locations, across strata.
So Goa has a beautiful mix of not only transient, but also gets a lot of weddings and MICE business from Indian diaspora settled overseas. In last 2 to 3 years, we've seen Goa developed as a sought after MICE destination. Though there is an opportunity to scale up the MICE bit, but in terms of Goa's appeal to the transient, to the luxury traveler is huge. And that is because Goa's weather is beautiful throughout the year. The sense of safety and security that Goa provides to our guests from overseas, to our charter guests, to the expatriate guests who visit is a major contributing factor. Over the years, Goa has become like a melting pot of all the cultures that the guest will look forward to experiencing. And these 4 or 5 factors have contributed and made Goa such an appealing destination. Even though we've seen the ADRs or the average spent gone up by 15 to 18% in last couple of years, the appeal of Goa hasn't diminished. And our challenge going forward is to be consistently deliver these experiences, to be able to create better and more innovative experiences to make sure Goa remains a fresh and appealing destination in years to come.
What you said is just perfect. You know, the appeal is already there. Now we need to really go, not just the Indian diaspora, right? It's the people of foreign nationalities, who are really visiting the Maldives, Sri Lanka, and other locations across Southeast Asia.
I think the government of Goa, as well as supported by the central government and tourism ministry, has really upped the infrastructure of Goa in last 2 to 3 years. The roads have become much better. There's a brand new airport that has assisted in bringing many more charter flights into Goa. Goa can now handle close to 40% more flights, but it used to handle pre-COVID levels. So I think government has really supported us, the state of Goa. The vigilance in Goa, the law and order situation really helps. The ease of doing business really helps. So compared to what the appeal was in Europe or Eastern Europe, I think if we are able to market this to, let's say, more in Asia, get some more guests from China, get some more guests from Middle East. That would really create a much more global platform compared to what it is right now.
True, the Israelis and the Russians are gone for a while.
Well, I think that should get better
Yeah,
in
it
next
can
couple
only
of
get
months.
better. Yeah.
We just
Thank you,
hope that.
Manav. Well said. Ranju, if I may come to you. So tell me the role of tradition in Goa hospitality. Look, Goa, like I said, has its own appeal and it has its own charm. So help me understand how traditional practices and local customs play a pivotal role in shaping Goa's distinct hospitality identity. I asked this of a Sardar born and brought up in Bangalore, who's worked his backside for years in Goa.
And Mumbai.
And Mumbai.
Western India.
Yeah.
So thank you, Bhuvi. Thank you for asking a very important question, actually. In my view, I think the traditional practices and local customs provide a platform for fantastic storytelling, actually. Over a period of time, and rightfully so, Goa is known for the beaches and, the local cuisine served in small restaurants, which are basically eateries, houses converted into eateries in big level. But I think it's a fantastic opportunity. It's much beyond the beaches and those shacks. I think of late, Goa has a lot of historical relevance. If you know, and I think everyone knows this, Goa was colonized for the maximum time, almost 500 years by the Portuguese. India itself was around 200 years. So we are known for Sarswat Brahmins, which itself then it got the influence of the Portuguese, which were there for almost 490 years. And obviously that itself gives you a full dimension of places to visit from a historic relevance. A lot of forts across the religious places like Shanta Durga, Mangeshi Temple, the SFX or Basilica of Bom Jesus, which a lot of people go to. So there's Ayurveda as well. There's a music culture which is getting reignited in Goa, which is called Fado music, which is Portuguese music, which is a very classic way of doing it. So I think there's a lot of stuff which we know being in Goa, but a lot of people who come to Goa don't know about it. So what we do is typically try to educate people, and when we are making the itinerary, the ambassadors that we have and the storytellers that we have in our reception and lobby area, which when they're making and curating the itinerary for our guests, subtly and put across all these key pointers, not only because the length of stay is 3 days typically, how much of beach will you go to and how many restaurants will you go to? And people come with the kids, they want people to know, and, they've got to be some kind of learning as well. So I think from that perspective, and what we meet guests, they want to go across and see these places as well. Now, a lot of people don't know there's a Sanjo festival. People who are from Goa know it. Sanjo is a typical festival which happens every monsoon, and it is quite a colorful festival. There's a Shigmo festival which happens in Goa. There's something which happened recently, all the GMs here will agree, Narkasur. Narkasur was a demon which was killed, which was done away with by Lord Krishna himself. So there's a competition. You see every 100 meters there's a big effigy of Narkasur, and that happens during the Diwali time, and they burn the effigy down. So I think there's so much. In addition to the carnival, Viva Carnival that we have, there are a lot of sightseeing places. There's butterfly gardens. There's an island where you can do bird watching. So there's huge amount of interest beyond beaches, and that basically for us, it's also the cuisine, the traditional cuisine. Now the cuisine itself is developed in a very beautiful way in Goa, right? Because of the last 400 years. So
and also Ranju, if I may, the Goa's got a bit of, say, Rio, with its carnivals, and got a lot of Sri Lanka and the Maldives with all its beaches, like they say.
No, I respect that, because every place has its own historic and religious and cultural fit. For Goa, basically, Goa is not known so much for its beyond the beaches, like we call it, and the shacks and the cuisine. But I think Goa has plenty of stuff for everyone. And the amount of people that we get, like Manav was saying, that it's not only people who are coming for holidays. There's destination wedding, MICE, there's citywide event like IFI is happening right now, right? So it has its own. Sorry, my computer is just. So if he had own number of people coming in to the Panjim area, but people like to stay back for a couple of days more to experience Goa further. True. And that is the role that we come in with, and we play to a certain extent, is because we are the ambassadors for Goa, right? True. And like you said in very certainly that beaches are everywhere. What is the differentiator? The differentiator itself is the culture. So I would say the culture advocacy by us and education to our clients and the guests that we have is a very important critical part, right? Being in Goa, now I've learned that Fort Aguada, the relevance of Fort Aguada and why it's there, right? It comes from the word aqua. Aqua means water. And those ships from Portuguese time would provision themselves with water from that fort. So it's simple storytelling that we have in Goa in a very simple form, and connecting the dots across the itinerary becomes very important. So
good. Yeah, thanks. So basically when a guest comes over here, he wants to have a meaningful visit, which should let him get back not just with the enjoyment quotient, but also with the learning and historic appeal. So thank you, Ranju. Let me now dive in with somebody whose state is trying to do the same space as Goa, Harish Gopalakrishnan, our young man from Kochi. Harish, if I may, tell me Goa's influence on Indian hospitality. Let's talk about that, and let's examine how Goa's hospitality practices have become a benchmark and inspiration for the broader Indian hospitality industry.
Right, Bhuvi. It's a very interesting question. It's not very synonymous to everyone, right? Goa is one place everyone knows. And as you all know, Goa, it's often hailed as what? As a tropical paradise, right, of India. And it has captivated a lot of hearts, a lot of travelers worldwide. But it's beautiful beaches around, the weather, and also the most important part is its cultural tapestry which it has. And it's not just the landscape, which has made Goa a popular destination, but also its unique cuisine, which comes along with this culture, which draws a lot of visitors across the globe, right? And what is interesting is what makes Goa truly remarkable is not only its natural beauty, but its evolution into a hub in the hospitality industry. See, if you look at it, over the years, Goa has transformed itself into kind of a melting pot for adventure seekers, for creativity, and the competition also in the hospital sectors also come a long way. And the destination, if you look at it, it has attracted a lot of experts and entrepreneurs who wants to establish their venture in Goa, because it's that vibrant. The city, the state of Goa is so vibrant, and the coastal heaven. It's a coastal heaven, I would say that. And due to its fierce competition, which is very much healthy though, there is a lot of creativity ongoing. There's a lot of innovation in our industry that's going on, which has actually, we have pushed the boundaries so that we could deliver the best in the industry. And this is actually set an example if you look at it worldwide, not only, I will not say only in India, but all throughout, because I was in the Middle East for a very, very long time, and Goa was one destination which everyone talks about. So there is a lot of things that goes around Goa that's been spoken about. And one thing which we cannot ignore what is the social media, because social media also has played a very important role in shaping Goa as well, right? And if you look at it in this digital age, the immersive experience that we offer, let it be a mesmerizing belly dance or a live poolside party, it all often becomes a talk of the town, and goes, some of those things have gone in so well into social media, becomes viral. And that talks about Goa there as well. And this phenomenon of social media has actually turned Goa into a trendsetter, influencing how hospitality experience are crafted and shared across the globe. If you ask me, other thing, the Goa also it's become a classroom as well, if you look at it, for those in the hospitality business. And one of the key takeaways, beyond its beautiful landscape and cuisine, it's also about learning how to create immersive experiences, deliver some extraordinary, exceptional culinary delights, and also and what interests me is that every day there is a new innovation that comes out of Goa, which sets as a benchmark for a lot of others, right? And in essence, Goa's unique hospitality practices have not only made it a sought-after travel destination, but are also a leader in setting the standards for the rest of not only the nation, I would say, and one of the leading places. And I was just traveling across as well. I just came back from Goa, from Cochin the other day. There was an ad across the airport roadway, and I could see they have marked various international destinations. Right? They had, say, Maldives, they had Sri Lanka, and they had only one destination that showcased there was Goa, which speaks a lot about Goa as a destination, right? So what can you expect out of Goa? It's a testament of how fusion of tradition and innovation can create an unforgettable experience for our guests, and also inspiring the entire industry to raise its game and learn from Goa as a destination. That's my thought.
Oh, thank you, Harish. Very well said. But yeah, you spoke about belly dancing and the other activities, right? You forgot about the casinos, right? So casinos
absolutely, yes,
are another coin in the box. So yeah,
that's true. That's
good.
true.
Thank you. So you're a quick learner,
being in Goa, you learn very fast. Trust me.
All right. So Gaurav, if I may come to you, F&B is huge for Goa. And it's a great magnet. In fact, you won't believe it. There are times when I get my bread from Goa, right? Those buns. And yeah. So Gaurav, if I may talk about the culinary odyssey in Goa. Let's embark on a culinary journey through your words, through Goa, and explore the unique flavors that contribute to its benchmark status. Look, Goa has a benchmark status for
I think you put it rightly. It's global odyssey. I think I would like to piggyback on what Ranju said earlier. It is all to do with the culture. So he spoke about the Saraswat Brahmins. So they are very particular about fish curry needs to be with raw mangoes and not with vinegar, stuff like that. And that is something which, if you are in Goa, you learn the different ways and the different types of cuisines that you have in Goa. So the curry that a Catholic house will make is extremely different from a Saraswat Brahmin fish curry. So if you look at the top 10 things in the Goan cuisine, you will never want to go out of Goa without experiencing these 10 things that are there, be it kafrial, be it veg kafrial or a chicken kafrial, be it shakuti. Shakuti is something that is really good if you have it with even, say, a mushroom. Sorpotel, Vindaloo, and if you go on to, so I'll speak from my experience. I thought that Goan cuisine is all about non-vegetarian and seafood. And I was actually surprised that during the month of Shravan, or the 40-day Lent period that the Brahmins observe here, they have a specialty called as breadfruit, and which they call as nirfanas. And it's very similar to what a jackfruit looks like or tastes like. But if you have it with rava fry, and which is what they have most of their fishes cooked the way in rava fry, it actually tastes like a fish. Or, you might even think that 40 days of fast and you keep eating breadfruit, rava fry, you will not miss your fish. So I think that's something.
There is hope for a vegetarian like me.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I've tried so many different vegetarian dishes which are absolutely phenomenal. It's not so Goan cuisine is not only about non-vegetarian food or seafood. It is more to do with actually the marination that goes into preparation of that particular dish. Then it's also a paradise for people who want to drink. So another thing that I got to know is, if you don't like Feni, which is like the second distillation of the cashew juice, you probably go for the first distillation, which is called as Urak. So Urak is usually available during summer, and it is one of the best drinks that I have ever tried. And if you happen to come to Goa, you should definitely try this. It's not potent like a Feni, but it's just very it relaxes you, it energizes you and stuff like that.
Is food really as big as a hook as one would expect for Goa, for anybody who's got Goa on their radar?
Absolutely. As I think what people currently do is, I usually used to think that people, when they go towards Udupi or that side, it is all around the food. But even Goan cuisine now has, come to such a level. And, if you look at the restaurants that are cropping up, every month, there are at least 3 or 4 restaurants which are at a, level of a Michelin star, or at least at a top 5-star restaurant category kind of a thing. They're all cropping up in places like Assaga, Wagator, and stuff like that. So I was recently reading an article wherein the top 50 restaurants in India, there are 8 restaurants that are based in Goa. And that is how important the culinary community, or the hook that you called it, is very evident.
Thank you, Gaurav. That explains. Now let me dive into my neighbor in Delhi, Suveer. Suveer, tell me, really, we've spoken about beaches and all, but Goa hospitality is actually beyond beaches. Why don't you unveil the lesser explored facets of Goa's hospitality that just goes beyond its beaches, right? And also build a case of how a general manager would, meet these challenges.
No, thank you. I think that's a great question, Mr. Khanna. And some of my sort of fellow hoteliers have helped set the base for this question, right? Because you see in some of the answers, and when Ranju spoke and Gaurav spoke and Harish spoke, I mean, there was not a lot of mention of the beaches, right? I mean, there is so much more to offer in Goa. I mean, back in the day when you thought of Goa, you only thought of the sun and the sand, right? And the sea. But I think that's changed, and our consumer that travels to Goa today realizes that that's changed and evolved. I mean, for us, why it's an ideal question for someone like me. We are one of the only hotels in South Goa that is not oceanfront, right? I mean, if you see from the photograph, we are one of the few hotels that's built on a paddy field. So this question is very close to me. And that hasn't stopped this hotel from, for the last 15 years of operation, we've had guests that have come back for so much more that South Goa can offer and what we can offer as a hotel. So I think the no beach or what's more to be, I mean, the beaches are phenomenal in Goa, right? From buzzing beaches to the more serene beaches, to the quiet ones, to the beaches with whiter sand. So I think that's lovely, and that will always stay great. But the whole focus now is on hinterland tourism, right? I attended a conference the other day, and an Honorable Minister of Tourism, Ron Conte, was talking about how the focus even for Goa tourism is hinterland, to really talk about what else there is to offer in Goa. And there's a long list of that, right? Whether you talk about culture, and a lot of that Ranju already spoke about. I mean, you have churches that date back to 16th century, and one can go on and on. And I think Ranju spoke enough about that, so I won't talk about that further. The food scene, like Gaurav just spoke about, it's phenomenal, and the number of restaurants that are opening up. I think Gaurav did mention about 3-4 every month. I thought it was even more than that, because you lose track of what exists in the northern part of Goa from a food and beverage scene. And even the bars, you spoke about Gaurav, top 50 restaurants. I mean, recently the 100 best bars list in India came out, right? And Goa had about 9 featuring out of that. I mean, fortunately, one of our hotel bars at Alila also featured in that list, but which is great. What's encouraging is that back in the day, Goa would not feature in one of these lists because we didn't have world-class F&B. I mean, nowadays you have food and beverage that can be compared to any top city in the world, I feel. So that way Goa is really growing. Historic forts, the whole life around rivers. I mean, we only talk about beaches and the ocean, but there's river rafting in Goa, for example, which a lot of people don't know of. The waterfalls, something that's very, very close to South Goa, right? I don't know if, Mr. Khanna, you ever tried to go to any of the waterfalls, apart from the Dudh Sagar, which is widely known, but there are some beautiful waterfalls that South Goa has as you drive to the center, towards your Netravali Falls. You have a wildlife sanctuary there that people don't know about. I mean, and I didn't know about it. I've been in Goa about 4.5 years, and that's when I really realized that this state has so much to offer beyond just the beaches and the water sports and the nightlife. I mean, I think museums, distilleries, the latest fad, everyone wants to make a spirit in Goa, right? I mean, there are easily about 40-50 brands that I could name of spirits that are homegrown and made in Goa, right? It started as a gin boom, then it became the agave plant, and you started having sort of agave spirits happening here. You have rum, I think you have beers, and it's great that there is so much to do. And we have guests now that actually do a hyper local beverage tasting evening of all the spirits that are made in Goa, because they're so amazed that there are so many.
And is that also why some of the GMs want longer tenures there?
I knew you were going to ask me that, so I was avoiding talking about the distilleries, but maybe, but there's so much more to it, right? I mean,
no, I'm telling you, Goa is really a complete package.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's like, lights, camera, action.
No, that's true. That's
all
true.
Right.
I mean,
Thanks,
there's much more.
I'll now, last but not the least, for the first half of the show, Harshad, you're new, but
Yes.
I'm sure you've worked up your charm, and you've also taken in a lot of charm of the state. Let's talk about the natural charms of Goa. And if you delve into the natural offerings, I'm sure some of your colleagues have already spoken about it, from pristine beaches to lush landscapes. I mean, Suveer is
Exactly.
really in the greens. So tell me, what contributes to Goa's natural beauty, which is unparalleled?
Right. So personally, I think Suvi's response kind of encompassed a lot of the natural charm that Goa offers that attracts a lot of travelers. I feel that the allure of Goa's natural beauty acts as a magnetic force beckoning both domestic and international tourists alike. The captivating destination attracts a diverse array of visitors, from nature enthusiasts and adventure seekers to those yearning for a serene escape. While the first thing that comes to mind are the beaches, but there is a lot more that the landscape has to offer, which I would like to talk a little bit about. But before that, talking about the beaches, I think the landscape changes drastically as we move from the north to the south of Goa, right? I mean, the travelers have an option whether they want the hustle bustle of North Goa or they want the peaceful, pristine white beaches, white sand beaches of the south. Even the food, for that matter, as you move from north to south, I've realized that it changes to a certain extent. But talking about the rest of the landscape, our hotel, the DoubleTree, is a classic example. Our location is it's more towards the tranquility of the old Goa and the bustle of the Panjim city. It's right in the center of that, with sweeping views of the Mandovi River and We've got this picturesque Diwa island and a lot of lush natural greenery around. There are also a lot of UNESCO heritage sites and historical monuments that one can explore in this part of Goa towards Khanna. And while Goa has long been known for the synonymous and for being synonymous with its pristine beaches, there is a discernible shift in tourist preferences, is what I feel. Travelers are now eager to delve beyond shoreline, venturing into plans of chasing waterfalls during the monsoons, like Suveer just mentioned, exploring the plantations. People go on these cycle trails, partaking in exhilarating deep sea diving. There's a bird sanctuary at the Charao Island just across from where we are. And I've heard of kayaking in the calm waters of South Goa, which I plan to explore whenever I get the first chance. And there's always been the water sports, the surfboarding in the north, that's also always gaining momentum. So, in essence, Goa's tourism is evolving to cater to evolving tastes of the discerning travelers, is what I feel. Expanding its repertoire beyond the sun-soaked beaches to encompass the rich tapestry of the natural wonders and the cultural experiences, is what I feel.
True. Thank you so much. You've actually done a fair bit during your very short stay. But yeah,
Yes.
good enough. It's a good indicator. I'll take a very short break of a few seconds before I circle back to Manav. All right. Thank you, Diversey. Manav, if I may roll in with my second question lined up for you. Okay, sustainability is not just a buzzword. It is an absolute essential for an industry which needs a lot of it. So if you can, showcase how Goa leads the way in adopting sustainable tourism practices, which set an example for the entire nation and the industry.
So before I dive into the question, there are a couple of things that I want to state and which are very interesting to note. And some of my colleague peers have mentioned that. I was reading a study done by a leading platform saying that Asagaon per square kilometer has more restaurants than New York and London.
Are you serious?
Yes. And we always refer to either New York or London as the food capital of the world. I think we're not too far. Goa will become, will take over these mantles. And I'll come back to sustainability in a bit. Very recently, Goa hosted some really marquee events. We did a fair share of G20 meetings, and we recently hosted national games. I think we missed hosting the World Cup matches, but national games was a big showcase of what Goa can do in future. Now, these marquee events put a lot of pressure on sustainability. The traffic brings in, the more traffic we have, the more is a need for sustainability. And I think Goa as a state was the early adopter of the ESG concept, not just sustainability, but also governance and keeping the environment in mind with the business needs of the tourism or the overall industry of Goa. Now, I think in last 10 years, Goa has seen a surge of non-renewable energy being used in Goa, be it wind. I think we are investing heavily in solar. in terms of waste management, I have to give it to the state of Goa. The way waste is segregated and the way it's managed is phenomenal. Cleanliness is fantastic. I know Indore has been winning the most clean city 5 years in a row, but I think Goa will come very close in next 4 to 5 years. As hoteliers, I think most of us have adopted a very, very clear-cut sustainability model, be it single-use plastic eliminated from our guest washrooms, to bottling plants, to use of paper. That's in the environment front. But even governance, partnering with the Goa government, we are doing a lot of skilling of the youth of Goa. We are partner with the farmers to make sure that we provide livelihood and uplift the standard of living for the community that we operate in. Another very unique trend that I think Gaurav had mentioned about Shravan, and I kept Shravan for 2 months. This past year, the Shravan was for 2 months.
Really?
And yes. And the production of breadfruit in Goa, most of it actually comes from the south. And along with the procurement team, we went to a lot of farms down south in Carmona, in Kankona, to see how can we really support the farmers just beyond the procurement of supplies. And we saw a couple of opportunities to really uplift the infrastructure in those villages. We're currently working with the Goa government to set up an infrastructure of healthcare, to set up an infrastructure for education, to at least at the grassroots level provide these facilities for the communities, so that they have a more sustainable future to look forward to. Another very interesting thing is coming in Goa. Goa is not traditionally known as the education hub. Nobody looks at Goa as the place to study. But I think that's going to change in next 10 years. Last year, Goa opened a world-class institute for Ayurveda to preserve the culture and roots of our nation. Now, that facility is already producing fabulous talent. There is a proposal to open, I believe, IIT and an IIM. It may take time, but the introduction of education as a I don't want to say market segment, but that will also sustain the business of Goa beyond the tourism and beyond the weddings and beyond. So I think going forward, ESG is going to play a very, very critical role to preserve what we have currently, so that the next generation and the generations after that have a very sustainable business model to execute, which looks after the community, which looks after the tourists who are coming into Goa, be it domestic as well as expatriates, and at the same time make sure that the environment is looked after, the waste is managed very well, and the non-renewable energy sources are really tapped into.
So yeah, so we're actually now stepping up from going the simple route of water, paper, and all. We're actually stepping into the next.
Yeah, I think those were the baby steps. Those
Yeah.
were the essential baby steps to create awareness. And I've also seen a lot of guests appreciating these baby steps, be it plastic use bottles or single-use amenities in the bathrooms. people do take notice of these things. Is beyond the herb garden now. It's about supporting your communities. It's about supporting the environment. It's about creating uh, uh, a benchmark and creating a platform not only for the businesses to strive, but also the communities to come together and grow as the business is growing.
Thank you, Manav. That was very detailed and very informative. Ranju, I'm back to you. So, given your years spent over here, what are the lessons for Indian hospitality from Goa? If you can summarize the key lessons and takeaways that the broader Indian hospitality industry can glean from Goa's benchmark status. Throw some light, shed some light.
So, thank you again, Vivi. Goa has always been a top holiday destination in Indian context, and we would like to believe from an international context, limited. Yeah. So, and it's also a good challenge to have to ensure that this position stays. So, to all the gentlemen and many more who are part of the hospitality scenario at Goa, I think the only way to do this is through innovation, like a lot of my co-panelists did mention, and adaptability. So this two key angle will ensure that you stay ahead, and there's a good competition coming from other destination as well to Goa. But I think what Manav said, and actually he took most of my scripts and pointers, right? But anyway, safety again is very critical to have tourism, because you don't get to hear much of being in North Goa, which is obviously a nightlife area. And I think many other gentlemen around here who are part of the North Goa area, I think we've not heard of anything which is undue unduly bad from a safety point of view. So basically, ladies can walk across in night, self-drive a car. So all this actually adds, and you have a lot of ladies, only ladies coming together as a reunion, celebrating in North Goa. So nothing, they go out to eateries across the North Goa and come back late at night, self-driving their own car. And we never heard of anything going wrong here. So people are very aware of, and also at the same time, sustainability. Now we spoke about, Manav also spoke about, and I think Harish spoke about the waste management system in Goa. I think it's one of the fantastic. I've worked in a few cities in India. I think the seriousness that it comes to waste management, and even followed by the panchayats down the line, I think it itself is very commendable, and that ensures that Goa remains one of the cleanest places, despite so much of footfall of tourism. And in addition to that, I think Goa, like Manav said, was one of the first to adopt this ESG and sustainability. I think most of the hotels that we're talking about in Goa in 5-star, 4-star segment, most of them are done away with plastic, single-use plastic, in the customer interface area in totality. So I think we're one of the first movers in that sense, and that helped a lot, and it's very, very much appreciated by all the guests who come in. A lot of hotels are also looking at getting that certification done through various agencies, which gives them the recognition as well. So I think Goa from that point is very good. And how we stay ahead is when we spoke about culture. I think the culture itself of Goa is incorporated by all the hotels very well. And they try to do it in bits and pieces. And that's what creates Goa vibe. I think no one can take the vibe away from Goa in the near future, and I would say longer future too. So I think Goa that way will remain a benchmark holiday destination for the domestic Indians. And going forward, I think with the infrastructure getting developed across the state of Goa, railroad connectivity, we got 2 international airports now. How many cities in India have those? So we got a north and south. And if you land up in the wrong airport, you're going to take 1 more hour to reach your flight, the other airport. So it's quite interesting now. Someone said about Middle East. I think you're getting connectivity. International airport will get a lot of connectivity as well from Middle East and everywhere. We're hearing flights starting from Abu Dhabi and things like that. And people want to explore Goa for all these reasons which I said. And that is what we need to maintain: the safety, the cleanliness, the hygiene, be on top of sustainability, innovations in your offerings, all right, and experiences. I think this will continue to keep Goa as a preferred destination and a benchmark to many other tourist and leisure destinations across the world and India as well.
So Ranju, basically, you see, there are 2 or 3 locations in India which have topped the chart, so to say, right? They're perched top of the pyramid. Goa, Rajasthan, Kerala are, and of course, some
Himachal.
Himachal and all, not as much as Goa, Rajasthan, and Kerala, yeah, but they're there. And they are those beacons of light and opportunity for other locations in India. Look, India is really a get-together of many smaller countries. So each one of them has to do their act sharp and clean. And they should look up to Goa, Rajasthan, and Kerala on what they're doing. Thank you, Ranju. Thank you. That was very informative. Harish, if I may circle back to you, Harish, you know, all the investments, all the opportunities that we create in a state for any business, be it travel, tourism, hospitality, anything, has to actually end up benefiting the local community. Let's talk about community engagement and tourism per se. Why don't you highlight some initiatives where the local community actively participates and benefits from the tourism industry's efforts?
There were some interesting questions asked today. I really like all the questions and the answers that's been showered upon today. And some of the answers, you know, my script, as Ranju said, has already been taken by Manav. Half has been taken by Manav, and half by Ranju as well. So I'm left with only some more quarter to speak about. But that's a very interesting, very interesting subject that you talk about. See, as we all know, Goa is known for its stunning beaches, landscape, culture, and everything. But what we have been doing proactively in Goa is fostering a harmonious relationship between the tourism and also the local community, right? And one of the notable aspects is the active involvement of the local artisans, the performers who perform various activities in the hotels and other areas as well. And many hotels, not only hotels, but I will also talk about the industry itself. They all collaborate with them, providing a platform to showcase their traditional skills and talents. And one of the key things that we also look at is supporting, if you look at it as sustainability, right? And which is one of the key focus that we are currently on. And many of us, and I'm sure all of us would agree, that we have been supporting a lot from our local farmers, the fishermen, if I have to be very precise and speak about, you know, and helping them out in their business as well. What does it do to us is it's not only boosts the local economy, but also it ensures that the items that we get from them is fresh, it's authentic, and the culinary offerings where the tourists can also enjoy, right? One of the other aspect that we also are very much involved is in skill development programs, right? Many of us, I'm sure others also will agree, that we all collaborate with a lot of local NGOs in providing trainings and employment opportunities for the local youths. And we do a lot of that. We in Westin, we do a lot of that. And we as a company, we do it. And this not only addresses our socio-economic challenges, but also it empowers the younger generation so that we could prepare them for the future within the hospitality industry, right? The other aspect is the festivals and traditions. It also plays a significant role in our community engagement. And when these two, the local influence as well as the tourist, when they come together for this, events also spreads a lot of inclusivity and also a lot of community spirit. And also it creates a lot of additional income opportunities for the local vendors, aiding to the overall economic impact. See, some of the other things we can see on especially when I talk about the North Goa belt itself, right? It started becoming more and more popular, becoming a culinary place. Whereas we mentioned, so top 10 restaurants in India is in Goa, all those, right? And that also has created a lot of opportunities for the local vendors as well here. Let it be in terms of taxis, let it be in terms of these renter scooters, renter bikes, and all the street hawkers. Everyone comes together, and it's all source of revenue for them. So if I have to summarize, Goa as a state has implemented a variety of initiatives to ensure that tourism not only benefits the visitors, but actively contributes to the well-being and also to the development of the local community. And this collaborative approach is very essential so that we could create a very sustainable and a mutually enriching tourism experience in Goa.
Excellent. Well said. You know, but I travel quite a bit. I'm sure you guys handle more travelers, but I travel a bit. And then, go across to locations like the Maldives, the Middle East, especially Dubai, Thailand, Sri Lanka and all. Now, all the locals over there, over the years, given their over-dependence on tourism, have actually become tourism and hospitality specialists.
Absolutely right.
And that finds a great amount of reflection in the way Goans have developed their mannerisms, their abilities to deal with guests, right? So they're very hospitable.
Absolutely.
So yes, to an extent, for me, as somebody who's a traveler, that visible change is very stark.
Absolutely, yes.
So much, Harish. Gaurav, MICE.
Yes.
Let's talk MICE. MICE is serious business, big business, and a bigger opportunity for Goa. I do not know of any corporate or any group who wants to go anywhere else but to Goa as a first choice. If you can shed some light on that.
Sure. So I think there are two aspects of it. We know for a fact that domestic MICE has been doing extremely well. But let me take you a little, back where the G20 summit had happened, and Mr. Modi had introduced two initiatives. One was Bharat Mandapam, and the second was Yasho Bhumi. And it was mainly because he commented that out of all the global meetings that happen, India gets only 1% of the share. And this is really, really concerning. And then he shared, the top 500 cities that get these international meetings. And you'll be surprised that Delhi, which is supposed to have a lot of meetings, is at the 75th position because it got only 158 meetings. And then I looked at Ahmedabad because that was my previous city, and Ahmedabad was the last. Ahmedabad actually was at a 424th position with only 4 meetings. So if you look at, the bandwidth of where Delhi is and where Ahmedabad is, now let me get you to where Goa stands. So Goa was at 307th position with 8 meetings. So if our cities in India, there were only 7 cities that were in the top 475. So it only tells you that what we are doing from an international MICE perspective is not enough. So we might be really happy with the way domestic MICE is going on with different cities and Goa as well. But if we focus enough on international MICE, it is going to go, probably double or triple of what you're currently doing. So I think that's an important point for all the GMs currently on the show and everybody watching the show, that domestic MICE we should not be just content with. The other important thing was earlier there was not enough space or in terms of meeting venues that were there. I think which eventually hotels and standalone stadiums or meeting spaces have realized. And a meeting space which earlier we used to think 5,000 square feet is more than enough is not enough anymore. So, hotels that have probably 5,000 square feet have realized that this was good probably 5 years back, but now it needs to go to somewhere 10,000 plus. And with all the bigger hotels with bigger inventory coming into play, they have incorporated that. I think Suveer, who's there with me on this call, he has done a new ballroom himself at his hotel. I have added one more ballroom in my hotel. So I think it's extremely imperative what we are doing in the hotels as well as in the city to promote these kind of bigger MICE events. And some of my colleagues were mentioning Ironman. Ironman was one event that is currently only happening in India and Goa. And this is the third time that the event happened. It got 1,200 plus participants coming into Goa, and their coaches, their families, their supporters, etc., who came to probably see how the entire event happens. Manav mentioned about national games. So there were 40,000 participants or athletes who participated in these games. And to support these guys, there were other people who traveled, be it the relatives, be it coaches, etc. And that's how it encouraged the entire, set of travel or MICE that came into existence. So I think overall, whatever the Goa Tourism Ministry is doing for promoting MICE in the state is really commendable. And I think we are in the right direction of changing our perception of only focusing on transient to now moving to MICE.
Let me get in with you, Suveer. Let's talk about innovations with guest experiences. If you can showcase certain innovative approaches and experiences that set Goa apart from providing memorable stays for visitors.
No, thank you. Thank you for the question. I think that's again a great question. It actually beautifully ties into the previous question where we were talking about all the things that Goa has to offer and how one could really tie in that into an experience that we create for guests. So I think it's when you look at guest experience, and that's often something that me and the team talk about, we look at two buckets, right? We look at an FIT, transient, families coming for leisure sort of a guest experience. And then we talk about the group experience, right? The group that Gaurav spoke about, weddings that Manav mentioned earlier as part of his first question, which is a huge segment for Goa today. I mean, it always was. When you do think of weddings or group, and I'll start with the latter. When you think of weddings or groups, I mean, if I want to get a family member married in India, you can literally think of 2 or 3 places in India, right? It'll either be Rajasthan or it'll be Goa, perhaps a Kerala, and a very different style of wedding happens in Goa vis-a-vis what happens in Rajasthan. I remember watching one of your shows where you had a lot of hoteliers from Jaipur, and there was a lot of conversation around weddings, and it was interesting to see that. And I've attended weddings in Jaipur and I've attended weddings in Goa. It's very distinct. I mean, why Goan weddings are fun, right? And we all know that the idea of having a wedding in Goa is to let loose, to really be more casual, to make it less formal, and really blend in what Goa has to offer in its true sense, right? And if you can curate enough experiences, then even in this question, the beyond beaches is relevant, because we, for example, would do just under 50 weddings this year, and not one of those weddings has had a ceremony on the beach.
Oh,
which for me is a surprise even now when I think back, right? Not one, because if I rewind a couple of years back, there would always be one function on the beach and we'd have to sort of tie up with the beach close by. But out of these 50 odd weddings, zero on the beachfront, right? And which is great. And that's because as hoteliers, we need to be able to curate and create enough experiences within our system and ecosystem so that a guest doesn't have to really go out. And it could be enough, because it can get quite troubling to take a whole lot of people out to a beach, for example. If you want to do a beach wedding, that's not the easiest thing to execute. So yes, I think there's a lot of distinct and innovative experiences specifically for weddings that we do, and I'm sure most of the general managers on the call do as well. I know some of the hotels are very popular for weddings, and so is ours. And when we talk about domestic transient, I think it's so important to, and international transient for that matter, important to give them a feeler of what Goa has to offer, right? So for example, we've tied up at the hotel here, we have a team called Leisure Concierge. It's an Alila thing, right? And Alilas globally don't open, they're not city center hotels. As you may have realized, Alilas are mostly in more remote, quieter parts of the world. And Leisure Concierge is a team that actually makes sure that through the journey of a guest, from the time they land at the airport till departing, they can curate smaller experiences for them that are close to the local community, that are within the hotel. So we have a team like that at the hotel. And we have some beautiful partners that we work with who are all locals and spend a lot of time and effort in creating fun experiences for our guests that can happen outside. So one would do a trail and a trek that would take you to places that one hasn't seen. One would sort of take you on an e-bike and show you the roads of Margao and tell you the history behind South Goa that you otherwise wouldn't have seen. So there are a lot of those unique experiences. Then we're also in the millennial world. So from a guest experience and innovation, you always got to kick in the digital side a bit. So for example, we do this thing called a digital personal host at the hotel. So since from the time you arrive, I mean, of course, there is a face who meets you, and that person becomes your digital host for the whole stay, right? So which means that even if you don't feel like picking up the phone and calling, this host is throughout your stay a message away, right? Anything you need. I mean, that is your one point of contact. It's perhaps our modern take on a traditional butler service, if you may call it that. We don't have butler service at the hotel here. But yeah, I think that's a very innovative way of looking at guest experience per se. And then, yes, as a brand for us, and as many spoke about sustainability, I think to integrate sustainability into guest experience is absolutely necessary in today's day and age. And I think Goa does a lovely job of that overall as a market.
Thanks. That's very interesting. I was actually visualizing a Punjabi wedding in Goa. Right. So let's talk
we
about
have a fair bit of those.
Sorry?
I'm saying we have a fair bit of those.
Yeah. So they may just ride on a giraffe, then come on a ghoda, for effects. But yeah, true. So we should have also spoken about the big fat Indian wedding. So thank you, Suveer, so much. Thanks, Apte. Harshad, Suveer's response was an ultimate. So I'm now coming back to you for the last one. Tell me, Goa, more so after the pandemic, Goa's had a massive impact on domestic tourism. If one was to look at trends, if you can analyze the influence of Goa in shaping travel preferences and trends amongst domestic tourists, short, crisp, give me some bullets.
Sure. I think to start with, I agree with something which Manav and Gaurav touched upon. The Goa Tourism Ministry has done an excellent job of getting some of these prestigious events into the city and running some campaigns like Goa 365. When it comes to domestic travel, I think it's safe to say that Goa has to be among the top 3 destinations for any local traveler even today. Goa has stood out as an idyllic destination catering to diverse preferences, ranging from vacations, weddings, as we just spoke, and the corporate offsites. Its seamless accessibility by road, train further enhance its appeal, and the additional international airport in Goa, I think, has improved the infrastructure further. In the post-COVID era, the rise of remote work has facilitated a notable trend. Individuals seamlessly relocating to Goa for extended stays. I think Goa's seasonal travel has further transformed into a 365-day travel. Accommodation is no longer restricted to just hotels, as we know. Homestays, villas, and apartments are gaining even more popularity right now. And beyond its accessibility, scenic beauty, what sets Goa apart, I think, is its ability to offer something for everyone. Families, couples, solo travelers, we cater to a diverse audience. So Indians who've often frequented Goa just now seek more than just the sandy shores, I would believe. The destination has definitely evolved, presenting cultural trails that traverse both between popular tourist spots and the hidden gems that we spoke about, providing an authentic overall local experience. So I think from indulging in a therapeutic mud bath to witnessing intricacies of a cashew processing with a delightful urak, uh, there is an array of unique encounters that await the exploration. And the food enthusiasts, of course, find their haven in Goa with an extensive list of restaurants spanning varied cuisine. So, all in all, I think, as Ranju mentioned, Goa will continue to remain the top choice for domestic travelers for a long, long time to come.
Excellent. You've been a quick learner, right? How many days in Goa?
Yes. Just about 3 months.
Oh, that's 90 days.
Yes.
Excellent. So way to go. You've got your various gurus over here who
Yes,
more
absolutely.
than years over here in experience. Yeah, I know when I was speaking about a Punjabi wedding, I saw Ranju let go. So yeah, we have three Panjus in Goa managing properties. So
Yes.
yeah, good enough. All right. Now, before I really close the show, this has been an absolutely brilliant experience for me. Every time I do a show on Goa or Rajasthan, there is so much to learn from the successes that you guys have all put behind you. But my worry is, are we really missing the bus? If I was to compare Goa with the island of Bali, which has 1,000 five-star hotels for a location much smaller than Goa, I think. Yeah. So tourists need responsible tourism, right? But they need affordable tourism and they need a lot of hotels. So I think the development guys have a challenge. How do you make more hotels and really give it to the society which has given you opportunities, which is the society of Goa? And thank you so much, gentlemen. I shall thank all of you separately, but let me sum up the show with your permission as we conclude this enlightening episode. Let me invite you all to appreciate the unique benchmarks that Goa has set for Indian hospitality, from its cultural richness to sustainable practices. Goa stands tall as a model for the entire nation. Join us in acknowledging and celebrating Goa's profound impact on the hospitality landscape. When I say this with all responsibility at my command. Goa, Rajasthan, Kerala have had a huge impact. And really, this is the sum total of great efforts which the locals and the government have put together. And Goa has been there perched at the top for a while, and that augurs well for the future. With this, let me close this show of the Diversey BW Hotelier GM show season 2. We'll be doing another show on Goa soon, very soon, right? Next week, which will be the 30th of November, Thursday. Watch out for us, 4 p.m. Now, let me bring in my partner to the show, Diversey, with this video, and then I say my byes to you. All right. Manav, thank you so much for gracing our platform, our first show together, and looking forward to many more.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. I look forward to many more interactions with you, Mr. Khanna.
Soon,
Thank
and
you
we
so
shall
much.
soon see you all in person.
Absolutely. Looking forward.
Ranju, our second one together. Soon more.
Viva Goa. Thank
God
you so
willing.
much.
Harish, good to have you grace our platform. And thank you for taking that flight from Kochi and making it for the show.
Bhuvi, it was an absolute pleasure to be a part of the show.
So
Thank
tell
you so
me, is there
much for
something
inviting me.
about Mallus only being the general managers as Westin?
Is it so? No, there was not a Mallu before. Was it?
Sunil?
Kannadiga.
No.
It was a Kannadiga.
Sunil was a
Sunil
Kannadiga.
is-
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
All right.
See, there were only 3 Mallus in my whole hotel.
All right. So,
Yeah.
Gaurav, thank you so much for gracing the show.
It's a pleasure, and I look forward to welcoming you here and trying the different cuisines.
I'm coming very, very soon. February, of course, I'm there for a program. 4th, 15th, and 16th. I'll see you all. Suveer, thank you so much. You never meet me in Delhi, but then I shall catch you in Goa.
Thank you, Mr. Khanna. It was a pleasure, and do your next show in person in Goa.
I will be coming very soon to do one.
Look
All
forward
right.
to seeing you.
Yeah, we'll
Thank
see you soon. Harshad, thank you so much. Welcome to Goa and welcome to the BW Hotelier platform.
Thank you very much for a warm welcome. It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. And before I go away, let me thank all my colleagues at BW, Ajit, Saurabh, Amit, Nilesh, Priyanshu, Tanvi, Shweta, Kartike, Prashant, Salman, and Mudit. So when you're speaking, every word is going to get tweeted, right? And there's an entire backend team which is managing all that. So thank you so much. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Grateful. Thank you for gracing our platform.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Khanna. You have a nice day.
Bye-bye. Bye.